Have you been charged with terroristic threats in New Jersey? Despite what the name suggests, this charge has nothing to do with terrorism. It's actually one of the most commonly charged offenses in the state, often arising from domestic disputes, arguments between people who know each other, or even road rage incidents. In this video, the criminal defense attorneys at the Tormey Law Firm explain exactly what terroristic threats charges mean, what penalties you could be facing, and how these charges can be fought. Under New Jersey law, terroristic threats are typically a third-degree crime. You can be charged if you threaten to commit a crime of violence to terrorize another person, cause evacuation of a building, or create serious public inconvenience. You can also be charged if you threaten to kill someone with the intent to put them in immediate fear of death, under circumstances where the victim reasonably believes the threat is real and likely to be carried out. Now here's what's important: most terroristic threat cases don't involve bomb threats or public safety issues. They typically stem from verbal threats like "I'm going to hurt you" or "I'm going to kill you" made during heated arguments between people who know each other. If convicted of a third-degree terroristic threats charge, you're facing 3 to 5 years in state prison and fines up to $15,000. However, if you have no prior criminal record, there's a presumption of no jail time for first-time felony offenders. This means a judge would likely sentence you to probation rather than prison. However, be aware that if the offense occurs during a declared state of emergency, it becomes a second-degree crime. Second-degree charges carry 5 to 10 years in prison and fines up to $150,000, with a presumption of incarceration even for first-time offenders. For you to be convicted, the state must prove 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. You made a threat. The threat implied that you would commit an act of violence. The threat was made with the intent to terrorize the other person. If any one of these elements is missing, you cannot be found guilty. And that's exactly where our defense strategies come in. These cases are often he said, she said situations. Unless the threats are documented, they can be difficult for the state to prove. Even if physical evidence exists, there are several defense options available. An experienced attorney can challenge whether the threat was actually made. They can argue the statement wasn't truly threatening or didn't imply violence. They can dispute intent to terrorize, showing perhaps it was just an outburst of anger, not a serious threat. Courts have found that a simple temper tantrum or burst of anger where irrational things are shouted doesn't necessarily constitute terroristic threats. A skilled defense lawyer will also examine whether a reasonable person would actually believe the threat was real and likely to be carried out. Context matters significantly in these cases. If you have no prior criminal record and have never used a diversionary program before, you may be eligible for pretrial intervention, or PTI. PTI allows defendants to avoid a conviction entirely. Upon successful completion, the charges are dismissed, and the record can be expunged. Additionally, an attorney may be able to negotiate with the prosecutor at the pre-indictment conference to have the charges downgraded to harassment, which is a disorderly person's offense handled in municipal court rather than a felony. One more thing you should know: terroristic threats are one of the predicate acts of domestic violence that can lead to a temporary restraining order. If a restraining order has been filed against you, that's a completely separate case in family court from your criminal charges. You could be fighting battles on 2 fronts, so it's critical to have experienced representation. If you or a loved one has been charged with terroristic threats in New Jersey, don't wait. The sooner you get an experienced criminal defense attorney involved, the better your chances of achieving a favorable outcome. Contact the Tormey Law Firm today for a free consultation. With offices in Hackensack, Morristown, and Newark, their attorneys appear in courts throughout New Jersey every day. Call 201-556-1570 or visit the website to get started.